Hello, bonjour, welcome to my channel. My name is Adrielle and I'm very excited and happy that you're here. If you are a current subscriber and you're just coming back to see another video, thank you so much. I'm really happy that you're back, and I look forward to having, discussions as we always do in the comments. And if you're new here, then welcome. Hello. I hope that you want to stick around. So today I really want to talk about something that is very important to me, and the reason why it's important to me is because, frankly, of you. So many of you, when you hear my story about how I moved to Paris and kind of why I made that big move, a lot of you say, oh, you're so brave, it's just so great what you did, oh, that's so amazing, so happy for you, like took a lot of courage, all of those things, brave, courage, etc. But the thing is, I wasn't always brave. I was not always courageous. I actually, for a very long time, was very insecure and had very low confidence about myself. And over the years, I really managed to build it up. I really managed to grow it. And now I'm kind of like a little bit tougher. And the thing is, it's what helped me to make that move, right? I would not have been able to move to Paris if I had not, grown my confidence and really built myself up. And so that's why today I really want to talk about how you can build your confidence. If you are dealing with, low self-esteem or low self-confidence, even if you're not struggling with those things consistently, but like every now and then you feel a little insecure, then this video is really going to be for you, because I'm going to really talk about, what I did to help me get to the point where I was confident and comfortable enough and brave and bold and courageous enough to make the big move that you all always say is so bold and brave and courageous. So, with that said, let's start talking about it. So I really believe that the first step in growing and building your self-confidence is to ground your identity. And when I say that, I mean that your identity is not your job, it's not your relationship status, it's not your marital status, it's not whether or not you have kids, it is not any of those things. So being a girl from the Midwest, born and raised in Missouri, one of the things is that literally, particularly in Missouri, if you are not married by, I'd say, like the latest 25, a lot of people will consider you, something is wrong with you. Like something is wrong with you as the woman that you're not married. And that was really hard to be there, because I went back to Missouri after I graduated law school. And, you graduate law school at 25, right? And people were literally just like, well, now that it's good you went to school, but now you need to get married. So I really had to learn to not ground my identity in my singleness, right? And to not focus so much on a marital status. So for me, for example, you might ask, well, where's your identity grounded? I mean, mine's in my faith, and really kind of seeing things from that perspective and putting my faith at the center of things and not in my my job or any of that. That helped me enormously. Like that really did change and shift kind of the direction as to where I was going, and really kind of helped me start to build my confidence. But for many years, it was kind of all over the place. But yeah, I really had to do that in order to really kind of ground myself and center myself in a way where my job wasn't at the center, my marital status wasn't at the center, and none of these other things that people tell you, you're supposed to want, and the way that things are supposed to have, etc. No. So the first step is really finding something solid to ground your identity in, right? Because think about it this way. If you lose your job and you're like, oh, well, I'm a doctor, but let's say you lose your job, then who are you, right? oh, I am a professional. Well, what happens if you lose your position as a professional? Oh, or my status is, my identity is that I'm, a wife. Well, what happens if, you and your partner divorce, right? It's why we really can't have our identity in like these things that are ever changing, can be taken away, etc. So that's why I say you have to really first focus on grounding your identity in something firm. And just one kind of part to this, part of grounding your identity, is the reason why it's so important to really solidify and place your identity into something that is firm and something that is secure and substantial, is because if you do not, other people will be able to define you to you. So think about that. The worst thing, one of the worst things that can happen to your self-confidence is for someone else to define you to you. For someone else to be able to say, oh, this is who you are. No. If you know who you are, no one will be able to ever tell you that you're someone or something else. So I'll give you an example. One of my friends, she got a VP position at a company, and she definitely 100% deserved this position. She was definitely qualified for it, etc. The thing is that literally every single day, those people were tearing her down. They were telling her that she had made a mistake, that she had made typos and things, all of this sort of stuff, all of this. And she was just like taking their feedback very politely. And literally at one point I was like, girl, why are you listening to that? Like, yes, you're at a VP level and you can't have typos in your work once you reach that level, like by any means. But at the same time, like some of the stuff they're telling you is if the partner actually is the one, like the senior person above you is the one who made the typo in the document, you don't have to take responsibility for that. You need to push back on that. Push back on the crazy feedback. And it was really interesting because she finally said to me, well, they've just made me feel like so kind of insecure about myself and about the quality of the work that I produce that at this point and I was like, no, you cannot allow other people to define you. You have to know who you are. And it's once you let other people define you, that's when like a whole downward spiral of, self-confidence can really, really kind of start to develop. So, you have to push back on that. You have to define yourself. You cannot allow other people to define you. And really one of the best ways, the most surefire way to kind of be able to stop that in its tracks is for you to really ground your identity and know who you are. So the second thing I would say as far as really building your self-confidence, and this is something again that I did, is I really, really had to get to the point where I believed I deserved better. And I don't say that in like the therapy way that people say that, or in the rom-com way that people say that, like, oh, I deserve better, so I'm going to quit my job. And then 6 months later, they're like, I can't pay my bills. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about it like that. I'm talking about it in a very real way of knowing exactly what it is you deserve. So let me give you an example. So I'll never forget one particularly, I had a lot of bad dates. I've had so many bad dates. And in one particular date, I'll never forget, I went to this guy's house and he was going to make me dinner. And he made me dinner and we were eating the dinner and it was nice and it was fun. And then after, we went and sat on his couch and we were watching television on the couch. Now he lived in one of those like townhouses in DC, but he didn't live alone like most people. He lived with roommates, right? So it was like him and a few other guys in this giant townhouse, okay? And so, we're sitting on the couch and we're talking, he turns on the news and we're sitting there cuddling, and then literally, you all, I'm not kidding you, 15 minutes in, he goes, well, I gotta go to bed, so you have to go. And he said it just like that. Like, it was so abrupt. There was no, like, transition. And I want to know, I did not want to stay over, right? Like, I did not want that. But I didn't think it was going to be like, oh, you had dinner, now it's time for you to get the heck out of my house. So I was kind of, like, put off, and I was like, okay, sounds good. And he was like, okay, like order your Uber. And I was like, all right. So I like proceed to order my Uber, and I stand up to order my Uber, and I'm not kidding you all. He walks to the front door, and it was like obvious he expected me to like follow him. So I followed him to the front door. He opened the front door. He said, "Good night," kissed me on the cheek. And then like I stepped out on the porch, and he shut the door. He slammed the door behind me. My Uber wasn't even there. So I waited for my Uber on the porch at 11 o'clock at night in the cold. Y'all, I never talked to that man again. You wanna know why? Because you know what? I know my value and I know my worth. And I know that for all of my flaws that I may have as a human being, I most certainly do not deserve to be treated like that. So that's why when I say that you have to believe you deserve better, one part of believing you deserve better is knowing your value and knowing your worth. Knowing that, you know what? I may be a flawed person, but I deserve to be with a man who loves me, who is kind to me, who is respectful to me. I deserve to have, friendships that are supportive of me and considerate of me and put as much effort into me as I put into them. I deserve to work at a job where people appreciate me and people value me and my work is valued. Now, when I say that I don't say this in a therapy sort of way, I mean that if you are, for example, at the job where people don't value you, it doesn't mean you just quit tomorrow. What it means is that you sit there and you know what, I deserve better, so I'm going to go look for another job that's going to treat me better. And I'm going to make sure I ask these types of questions. I'm going to make sure I'm interviewing the company instead of letting the company interview me. I'm going to want them to want me, and I want to have choice, right? So that's what I mean about just knowing your value and your worth. So also part of believing you deserve better and kind of how you can really develop this belief that you do deserve better is by really focusing on ignoring your fears, your doubts, and actively countering those. So I basically have, I don't really want to fully discuss it now, but I have dealt with some health issues, some female health issues, and as a result, I ended up having, I only essentially have one ovary, okay? And I have a lot of scars as a result of my surgeries, and then I also have scars because I had the chicken pox when I was really badly as a little kid. So I have like these insecurities, and they're like on my body, right? They're like right there for anyone to see. And I once had a guy who I was dating, I like had told him about this, and I was like, because he like saw me, I think, in a bathing suit, and he was like, "Oh, like what's that?" And I was like, "Oh, da da da," and he was like, "Oh," and I was like, "What?" He was like, "Well, can you still have kids?" And it was just like, it's like already something I already feel insecure about. So like, why on earth would somebody like say that to me? And I had to like very actively counter like that fear and that doubt that slowly started to creep in of like, you know what? Someday you will be a mom and you will be an excellent mom, but now may not be the time for you for that. And that's fine, but like someday you will. So we're not gonna let the fears, the doubts, insecurities, all of those affect you, and that's with your head, girl. Another thing is that I always felt, it's real. One of the things that to me is very funny is that sometimes people on social media will tell me, oh, well, like, that thing happened to you because of pretty privilege. I actually have never viewed myself as being attractive or pretty or beautiful. In fact, I literally, men can say some stuff, right? Like, I literally had a guy once compare me to this girl that I went to law school with, and was like, she's hot, like she's just sexy. He's like, but you're attractive. Like, the more you get to know you, like your personality makes you attractive. And I was kind of like, okay, like, is that a compliment? But the thing is I had so many people kind of say stuff like that to me, like, oh, you're just so cute, or you're just so sweet, because I'm small, I'm very petite. But as a result, it really started to affect like my confidence and my like view of myself, I was definitely a late bloomer. I've always been very small. So like, you know, when you're young and like what are teenage boys attracted to? Like girls with the boobs, and like what do you see on television? Like the girls with the boobs. So like you're not like, don't look like that. You're like, okay. And so as a result, like you're like constantly bombarded with these images that can like make you feel really insecure when you're younger, right? And what I had to realize is like, you know what? No, I am beautiful. I am a very pretty woman. I am attractive, and I am going, and you know what? I am. And so to counter like all of those signals that I was getting that were negative, I started my Instagram. That's why I started it, was to build my confidence. Like I specifically was like, I'm going to do something to like counteract some of my anxieties, my insecurities, like all of these signals that I'm constantly getting. I'm going to do something that like is a way for me to really like switch up the story and, you know, grow my confidence. Okay. So I know, for example, you know, that there was, I don't know if you saw it, but there was an article in the New York Times where it was talking about like G-strings and women wearing G-strings and, you know, how they're like reclaiming that for their body and they feel sexy and whatnot. And the thing is, you know, some people in the comments were like, I don't understand how like seeing anyone in a G-string is attractive. Well, for me, I don't need to be naked up in these streets to feel attractive and sexy. If that's what they need to do, then do you. But like you like find the thing that like builds up your confidence. Like for those women, wearing the G-string is what helped build their confidence and feel more secure about their bodies. Okay, then do that. That's all I'm saying, is it's like finding that way to counteract those fears and anxieties, like actively countering them in some sort of very intentional way is really, really going to help you in developing, you know, the confidence and the awareness that you deserve better. The last kind of part of like kind of developing that you deserve, this awareness that you deserve better, and kind of tips on how you can do that, is to use affirmations. So when I was at the law firm and I was working in the law firm every day, you know, if you make any mistake, it is world ending. Like people chew you up and spit you out, and you're just like, you are a shell of the person that you were before. And it was really hard for me because I'm a pretty nice person. I didn't really have a lot of edge to me until I started working at the law firm. I was just happy and nice. And I had to kind of develop a little bit of edge and a little bit more of a tougher skin to protect me against these people. And I'll never forget one day I was just crying, and I was on the phone with my mom, and she said, Adri, if you do like 99 things right and you only mess up one thing, you're a human. You're exceptional. Like you're exceptional. You're still doing great. Like, so don't let them destroy you on the one thing, because the one thing is the one thing. Like you're not Jesus. Like you're not perfect. So you're gonna make a mistake every now and then, and that's okay. And when she said that, I decided to literally print that out and put it next to my desk. And I put it on the wall next to my desk. And it was like, if I do 99 things right today, then I am still exceptional. And then I put a different one that was like, if I get one thing wrong out of the 100, it's okay. Like, I'm still great. And then I also had, I have Bible verses, and I would keep Bible verses at my desk. And look, I'm going to be frank. Some of those Bible verses were smiting Bible verses. They were like, Lord, come down and rain your fury upon them with fire and blah, 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 blah. Yes, I did. I also had those. But the point is, all of that I say because I used all of those kind of affirmations and reinforcements to really kind of help build me up and help me remember and really accept that I deserved better. I deserved better treatment from people, and also that I was still great, right? Like, if I did make one mistake, it's okay. Because you know what? Like, everyone makes mistakes. It's fine. And yeah, people made a big deal out of it at a law firm, but like, I didn't get fired. Like, it's so hard to get fired from a law firm. So like you have to be really incompetent to get fired from a law firm. So I literally did these things, and these things really helped me to like recognize that I deserve better. So when someone was standing in my office screaming at me and going off of me, I could literally sit there, look at them, and just be like, okay, are you done now? Because we need to solve the problem. Like, are you done freaking out? And that's ultimately had led me to have the confidence to leave the law firm job, and then ultimately, led me to leave the last position that I left, because I just knew, like, hey, homegirl, you've done it once, you can do it again. One of the last steps as far as building your self-confidence and really growing your self-confidence, something that is absolutely essential to the process, is having a good support system. Surrounding yourself with good people and getting rid of the toxic people unapologetically. I will never forget, maybe about a year and a half after moving to Washington, D.C., one of my friends from college moved to the D.C. area. And she had just kind of graduated from school, gotten her master's degree, I think in like psychology or something. And so she had like a doctorship or some program or whatever in the D.C. area. And I'll never forget, she organized this whole thing where all our friend group came to her apartment in Virginia to celebrate like her graduation, this new position and everything. And of course I lived in DC. So I stayed in my apartment and all of them stayed in her apartment, like out in Virginia. So I stopped by like a few times during the weekend, but again, like I'm in my home, I'm in my backyard, like I'm perfectly cool with like doing my own, little thing. I don't need to like stay with them in her apartment for like the whole weekend. So I will never forget that at the end of the weekend, literally like all of them, it was like maybe 5 or 6 girls who were there, and 4 of them, including the girl who had moved to DC, just kind of went off on me. Like they all apparently had some complaints and they needed to talk to me about various things. And one of my friends who was there, she told me afterwards, you know what, Adriel, they've been talking about you all weekend. And it was very obvious to me, like, based on the things they were saying, that they didn't know you. They didn't know who you were. And I was like, yeah, and that's fine. They don't need to be in my life, right? I was like, just because we've been friends since college doesn't mean we have to stay friends. And I literally ended all of those friendships, like with all of those people who had all of those various complaints. I was like, you know what, that's fine. You can have those complaints about me, that's cool. Let's each move on with our lives. And they were shocked. They were shocked because they didn't believe that I would ever do something like that. That I would just be like, no, you're out of my life. That's fine. I have no hard feelings. Goodbye. I wish you the best. And I don't have any hard feelings. I wish each and every single one of them the best. I just don't want them in my life because they're just, that level of toxicity isn't needed for me. I know who I am, right? I'm grounded in my identity. I'm not going to let anybody else define me, and I know that I deserve better. I deserve to have friends like the friend who defended me and was saying these things aren't true and you guys clearly don't know her. That's what I deserve. So as a result, I was perfectly fine letting go of those toxic people. On the flip side, I've had some amazing people around me, people who have supported me immensely during some of my hard times, my troubles, people who like have really like built up and encouraged like the things that I'm doing now on social, right? Like I always felt like, oh, I shouldn't do that, that's weird, whatever. And I have a lot of people who are building me up and telling me I'm doing a great job. Even you guys sometimes send me messages and you're like, keep going, you're doing great. Like, thank you. Like, I know I'm just starting at this, it's not perfect, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I hear it and I listen to it. And that's what I mean. You have to surround yourself with people who want to support you. You get rid of the toxic people. Literally, the toxic people are always going to tear you down. You got to get rid of them, and you have to have the people around you who are building you up and lifting you up, and that's going to help you build and lift yourself up, because that's really what self-confidence is about. It's believing in yourself. the last kind of point that I really want to make on this is to remember that this process of like building your self-confidence and really building your self-esteem, it does take time, right? It's not necessarily going to happen overnight. I wish that it did and it would, but it can take time, and that's perfectly fine because not everything in life has to happen immediately. But I will say this, is that you have to actively work on building and developing and growing your self-confidence. I'm doing this video. I said at the beginning that I was doing this video because, you guys said I was brave and I was courageous, and I did not always used to be that person. I am very, very shy. I've always been very shy, and that I don't think is a confidence thing. But I do think part of my shyness was attributed to my feeling very feeling very insecure. I think a lot of my shyness had to do with my feeling insecure. I also believe that, even though I believed in myself, I didn't really believe in myself. I don't know if I'm making sense. I used to be quite lonely. Because I was very shy, I had friends. I have friends in high school, but like I didn't have the types of friendships where, that was like my best friend and we hung out every Saturday and did stuff and whatnot. I was always kind of very much like alone. And my dad was worried that I was a loner. And he used to tell me like, go out and hang out with people. But I just didn't really feel very confident and comfortable in my own skin. And so I didn't. I kind of kept to myself. And I don't want anybody else to feel lonely. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like when you feel you don't have what you should have at this point of your life. When you are surrounded by all these people who do seem to have all the things that you always thought you always wanted or do want or whatever else. And you really, really, life is not like linear, right? It's not, things aren't moving like this. It's like, woo, 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 doo. So you have to know that. And we have to stop comparing ourselves to everybody else, and that is work. But what helps you get to the point where you're not comparing yourself to everybody else and you are able to like move at the beat of your own drum is really when you're able to get to the point that you are confident in who you are grounded in who you are, you recognize that you deserve better, and you have a great support system around you. That's it. That's what's going to get you there. So, with that said, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. As always, I would love to continue this discussion in the comments. Please let me know like what tips you might have for, building confidence and building your self-esteem. Because the thing is, if we're all honest, we all struggle with it at times. We all feel insecure at times. So share your tips. I want you to feel brave and courageous yourself too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I look forward to reading your comments. Stay safe and talk to you again soon.